Is my screen visible?
Ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, yes.
Slides also visible.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. So I'll be sharing one of my earlier videos of PKP, where as a beginner I faced certain challenges, and I'll be sharing some facts which helped me basically get over those challenges. So in the earlier cases, first of all, a good preoperative IOP control is required, for which we should give mannitol to our patients so that there is least chances of vitreous loss during the surgery. Also, I realized that attempted doing some cases in local anesthesia also, but I realized that as a beginner it's better to do cases in general anesthesia because it gives us more time to operate. And also, if the akinesia is not complete, then because of the ocular movements the IOP can rise. So when we are doing cases in general anesthesia, these both the things get taken care of.
The video is not moving.
Yeah, so, and it's starting, sir.
Okay.
Then we have to ensure proper globe exposure, which can be done by either using wire speculum, lid speculum, or like in this case I'm showing, we can use lid sutures for proper exposure of the globe. The basic principle is that we should not have any external pressure on the eyeball while operating. Also, while draping, we have to make sure that the lid margins are separated and the eyelashes are not coming in the field to avoid post-operative infection. So here now next I'm measuring the cornea. So we can, as you can see on one side, my caliper is on the anterior limbus, on the other side is more towards the posterior limbus. So as beginners we tend to do this, but we have to make sure that the caliper is basically at this corresponding point so that we don't mismeasure the diameter of the cornea. So we have to measure the horizontal diameter, the vertical diameter on the caliper, and then measure the half point so that we can mark the geometrical center both horizontally and in the vertical diameters. And wherever these 2 points coincide, that is a geometrical center of the cornea, so that we can plan our trephination accordingly, so that a graft is central to avoid post-operative astigmatism. So then before trephination, we have to remove any epithelium, otherwise we'll have uneven trephination. Now here I'm doing a handheld corneal trephine. So while doing it, first of all, we have to see that the geometrical center is on the center of the trephine so that the centration is maintained. And we have to apply a downward pressure, which is controlled so that we don't enter the anterior chamber and the trephination is partial thickness. But here, as you can see, as soon as I removed the trephine, there was an aqueous loss. So on one side, it has been a full thickness trephination, which should be avoided because it can lead to anterior segment trauma. So then I have inserted a lot of viscose so that the iris and the anterior chamber contents go posteriorly and avoid any further damage. Luckily, no damage was happened in the surgery, but then we have to be sure that the structures go posterior so that there is no damage intraoperatively. Then completing the trephination by using a curved corneal scissor. While doing this, we have to be sure that it is perpendicularly held so that there is no extra tags left at the interface. If at all they are there, we can use the Vanna scissor or the curved scissors to again cut it. Now, in case our trephination size is bigger, we should insert a lot of viscose so that the chamber the angle structures, they go posteriorly. Otherwise, we inadvertently we can suture it while doing suturing. Now here I have put the donor corneal button. So as beginners, I have also learned this, that we should do the donor trephination earlier. Before then, we proceed the recipient bed trephination so that we have no tissue loss. So while suturing, we have to take care that the depth of the corneal suture is at neither level of 90% or the pre-Descemet's level, so that the apposition between the graft and host is good. So I've realized that initially I used to pass through the donor and then through the recipient, the needle, so the position was not very accurate. So when we are taking a bite, we should ensure that the graft and the recipient bed are taken in one single bite so that the suture is straight and the apposition is maintained in a better way. The length of the suture should be 2 mm, 1 mm on both the sides. And it should neither be too tight or not too loose. The second suture is the most important suture in keratoplasty because it ensures equitable distribution of the corneal tissue. And again, we have to maintain the basic principles like we did for the first suture. So here at the end of the 4 cardinal sutures, we should make sure that the diamond shape is in a proper manner so we can adjust the sutures or maybe take a suture again. So I'm inserting a visco so that we have more space at the back of the donor graft. Next 4 sutures, again, we have to take between the initial 4 sutures to maintaining an equal distance between the corresponding sutures. We have to be sure that the sutures are not full thickness, otherwise there will be an aqueous leak from the suture side. So after 8 sutures, it's advised to buddy the sutures on one side and to just move and see that they are too loose or it need to be replaced. So in similar way, we have to take 16 or 32 sutures depending upon the size of the graft. And after checking for water tightness at the end of the surgery, we can remove the lid sutures. Okay. Thank you.